Hundreds of videos not released, early access. Join the Patreon. MythVision. This is a technical question, I guess. I don't want to spend too much time because we've got some interesting apologist stuff we will get to, but I want to spend time on the donors' questions. And this one personally has my interest. How many converts do you think defected from the movement once the promises made by Jesus and Paul regarding the Messiah's return failed? And because this is important to ask, and you do this you lecture this all the time and say in your college courses, you ask people to show the difference between Paul's teachings and Jesus' teachings and stuff. So the real question comes down to, there's obviously a failed apocalyptic promise of some sort. What was Jesus's promise? And then Paul has a Messiah that's resurrected and has a returning Jesus. I very much doubt Jesus is on land going, all right, guys, I'm going to die and actually come back. So what promises did Jesus or the original movement, in your best educated guess, would be on what he's saying, and then Paul's, and how many people do you think defected when no return and no actual parousia, if you will, occurred?
So I think Jesus definitely did predict that a cosmic judge that he called the Son of Man was going to come back while his disciples were still alive. So within his generation. Paul probably converted 3 or 4 years after Jesus' death, and he expected Jesus to come back within his generation. He thought he would be alive. 1 Thessalonians 4, 1 Corinthians 15, Paul seems to think he's going to be alive when Jesus returns. It doesn't happen. So there's been some very interesting studies about what happens when you've got a religious group or some other kind of group that has a very firm expectation of something that is going to happen that doesn't happen. And if your listeners want to read something really cool about it, it's called "When Prophecy Fails" by Leon Festinger. Have you read it?
I have it. I'm halfway through it right now. Oh,
fantastic!
Gosh.
Great. So it's about UFO cult, as you know, who are expecting, the Venetians or the Martians or somebody to come on this particular date to take them out of the world, and the end doesn't come. And this author, who's a social psychologist, has infiltrated the group to figure out what are they going to do. You would think what they do is they'd give up and say, "Oh, we're wrong about that." No, some did. But the other thing that happened that's more striking is that the group became more evangelistic. They reset the date and try to get more converts. And Festinger has a psychological explanation for it. It has to do with a phenomenon that he named cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you've got a belief that can be confirmed, that is confirmed. So there's dissonance between what you know is going to happen and what you know did happen. You thought you knew was going to happen. What you do know did happen. There's a dissonance there. What happens? If you get more people to agree with you on this belief, it eases your feeling bad that it didn't happen. It makes you think, "Oh, I was right. I just got the date wrong." And so you go out and get more evangelistic. Christians appear to have gone out and gotten more evangelistic.
That makes sense.
So some people certainly would have dropped from the movement, but we don't have any numbers. We don't have numbers for defections at all throughout Christian history. So we don't know. We just don't know.
Interesting. And I suspect when the Gentiles find their way in, then that's when things actually are more successful. Paul, I think, kept the thing alive. I just very much doubt if it stuck. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I don't want to get trapped there.
No. I don't think, if Paul hadn't come along, Paul didn't invent the idea that Jesus' death and resurrection is what brings salvation.
Right.
People get that wrong. They think Paul was the founder of Christianity. And that view was around before Paul converted. That's why he was persecuting Christians, because they were saying that. And he thought it was nonsense. But what his conversion was all about was realizing that this salvation to the Jews can go to Gentiles without them having to become Jews. Mm-hmm. And so men don't have to get circumcised. And Christianity is not, following Jesus is not a Jewish sect for Paul. And so that opened up the floodgates. And if that hadn't happened, Christianity would not have anything like the success it's had.
If we had more time, I would probe you to ask you specific details about Paula Fredrickson. Like I would love to get your insight, because it's just something of mine. But I suspect I don't know. We'll save that for a future interview if everyone wants
Right.
to hear your views on different scholarships of Paul within Judaism, because I'm just fascinated. And your student, I believe one of your students, Dr. Jason Staples, fingers crossed I can get him on to promote his new book that's coming out on a new look on Israel. But
he will be happy to join you. I would bet my house on that.
I hope so, because I want to learn from him. There's so many groups. And by the way, this whole second coming thing with cognitive dissonance, there's a group called Full Preterist. Are you aware of them?
Called what?
Full Preterist.
Well,
They
I know what the
believe that-
preterist view is, yeah.
They're like full. They think that everything was fulfilled, the parousia, the second coming, resurrection, but they interpret it to mean, oh, that's covenantal language, or that's allegorical. Well, that's not really cosmic. Anyway, we've got to do more shows. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys make that happen sometime.